Hello, and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 1657. The topic is mindset, and the title is Developing Motivation When Working Long Hours. Ugh, who isn't? This concept came from a gym member. We were talking a little bit, they had to update their payment information, and they were just saying they were struggling with motivation. So I wanted to touch on this in a podcast form to give them some tips, but then also to reach out to anybody else that was struggling with this. So what they wrote was, as far as motivation, I guess it's a combination of not feeling rested and 12-hour shifts, along with a 1-hour drive each way. I feel wrecked all the time. Even days I'm off, I still feel half dead. I know there are other people in the same boat that work with the same schedule and work out. I do miss the feeling of accomplishment I had when I was working out, so I'm holding on to that and hoping to find that spark. Oh, that's a tough place to be. Tough place to be. Now, I've been there a couple times in my life. Most notably, at one point in my life, I did 12-hour work shifts for construction work. So 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And it was construction. It could be from pulling weeds all the way to running machinery. So I grew up with my dad, who had an excavating business, and I knew how to drive a dump truck before I knew how to drive a vehicle, like a regular car. So we drove dump truck, bulldozer, backhoe, all that stuff, like skid steer. So I've driven machines and stuff, and that construction job, was a blend of all of that. But it was, sometimes we would be raking bark mulch for like 5 hours, and it's like, oh my God, just hating on life. But I remember that was 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then I would leave that job, go to the school gym at 7:30, and then I would train till about 9, and then I'd go home and die, basically. I was so tired. I remember I would go to work with like a bunch of pre-made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I would drink like a half a gallon of milk in the first like 3 hours of being there, and then just a bunch of Gatorade all day. So I spent my paycheck on food, and I worked so hard to just maintain my weight during that job, let alone actually trying to progress my growth. But that was one example. I also had, when I was in grad school, I taught classes, took classes, and then I worked. So I remember I had to work out at 5:30 in the morning. So I would get up, I think it was like 5:15, like 5:15, try to get to the gym by 5:30, 5:45, and then I would work out from 6, like around that time, 5:45-ish, till about 7:30, and then I would take a shower, try to hurry up and get some food. So 7:15, 7:30, take a shower, get some food, and then I had to start teaching classes at 8 o'clock. And then it was all day. I was either teaching a class, taking a class, or working. And at that time, I had a couple jobs. One of the jobs was personal training at the university. So I would train somebody right after a class or right before a class. Or I worked at a supplement store, and I would drive there, work a shift, like selling supplements and whatnot. Which I didn't mind that one because I got to eat if there wasn't anybody in the store. But it was just nonstop all day, back to back, till about 8 p.m. So it was like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then I would have to do schoolwork and or just pass out and sleep, which I chose to do more often than I should have. But those were some 2 times where it was really tough. And then I actually forgot to even write this down, which is hysterical. But when I first opened the gym, good God, just horrendous schedule. It was all day. So I'd start training people at 7, wouldn't be done training people like 7 in the morning, wouldn't be done training people till 8 at night. So I would see 10, 12 hours a day of training clients. I would try to work out, and then I had to write all their nutrition programs, training programs, clean the gym, do all the things you would normally do for finances, keep up with emails, all that. So I typically would just go to bed at like 1 or 2 in the morning on the floor in my office, get back up at 6, eat some food, and train the next person the next day. So I didn't even go to my apartment the majority of days because there was just no point. But those were times when I was able to maintain training. And on those, I would say the least I trained would have been 4 times a week. I know, like, when I was doing the construction, I was still training 6-7 days a week. When I was in grad school, I was still training 6-7 days a week. But whenever I first opened my gym, that was one of the most physically and emotionally demanding things I've ever done in my entire life, and for how long I had to do it. But that one I was down to like only 4 times a week, because I remember counting plates. Like, I would lift over 5,000 pounds by like noon, just lifting 45-pound plates and moving dumbbells, moving equipment around. I tend to need to keep my brain busy more than I express it. But I would count poundages of weight that I would move to in clients' workouts, and I remember I would hit 5,000 pounds by like the middle of the day. So by the end of the day, once I trained my evening clients, I would typically be somewhere between 8,000 to 10,000 pounds of weight moved. And I've done like very hardcore workouts where the total volume of weight moved might have only been between 8 to 10,000. So I was doing a workout's worth of moving plates around all day and then still trying to train. So I remember the first month of owning the gym, I think maybe the first 5 weeks I lost like 30 pounds because it was just insane. Now, through all of that, I was able to maintain being able to train. And I've helped a lot of clients do the same thing. So what I wanted to do today was to share 5 tips that will help if you're feeling overextended, overworked, and you would love to get the motivation back to train, but you just feel like you can't. That's reasonable. So the first tip is to address the fatigue. You are fatigued, and fatigue makes cowards of us all, as I think it was Vince Lombardi said in football. But actually, I don't even know who said that. I'll have to actually look that up. But I think it was a sports-related term. And it's not that you're a coward. It's just that the quote, I think, is apt because when you're tired, you don't make great decisions. And that can be great decisions in physical health, relationships, finances, just a whole bunch of places in our life. We don't make good choices when we're tired. And we don't typically make what's our best choice. We will typically make the choice that just lets us get through the moment. So whatever's good enough right now, that's it. That's what we choose. So to build momentum, to get back to training, you have to address the fatigue. One of the main things to remember, and just kind of like a, hey, it's okay, to feel better about yourself, is to recognize that workouts are strenuous on the body. Our body believes that workouts are going to be difficult and they're going to require energy. So if you already don't have energy and then you think about working out, your body's going to say, don't do that. Let's lay in bed. Let's go home and eat. Let's sit on the couch and scroll through Instagram. Like, what the hell are you doing? Why are we moving? Why would we want to cause ourselves any more pain, stress, and exertion when we already feel overworked? To have your body fight against you wanting to work out makes complete and total sense. 100% makes sense. Workouts are stressful in the body. The body perceives workouts as extra stress. So it'll try to get away with it. It'll try to argue out of it. This is why even when you work out all the time, you might still lack motivation to work out. You're like, oh, I love working out. I always love working out after I work out, but I never love it before I work out. That's because before you work out, your body's seeing it as work. After you've already done it, the body goes, oh, hey, this does feel good. My adrenaline is running. My endorphins are up and running. I'm feeling really good chemical-wise. I feel accomplished. I have all the good feelings afterwards. But then before the next workout, we get tired again. And then our body says, oh, crap, I don't want to do that again. I'm tired. Right? So we have to address the fatigue. It's not that you don't have willpower. You have a ton of willpower. You get up and go to work every day. I'm sure you don't want to do that. But the idea is we want to reduce the fatigue, and then that way our body won't fight against us so much, trying to actually add in extra stress of a workout. The best ways to address fatigue is to get your calories up. Typically, how people eat when they work long hours is horrendous. They undereat when they're active, they overeat when they're inactive. This is typically why they have body fat above normal levels, even though you would say I don't overeat. So it's inconsistent eating that causes weight gain, like body fat gain, more so than overeating. We talk about this in a recent podcast, 1615. It's a nutrition podcast titled Why Are You Overweight? Inconsistent Eating versus Overeating. You can find all of our podcasts on our website, www.brunenergym.com. Whatever platform you're listening on this podcast to can probably go back 100 or more podcasts. So you can probably go back to 1615. But if you can't find it, go to our website. The podcast player we have on our website goes back 300 episodes, and we have instructions on how to find older episodes as well. But podcast 1615 explains why are you overweight, inconsistent eating versus overeating, meaning you're probably going to say, it's not that I really overeat. I don't know why I'm overweight. I eat relatively well. I either skip breakfast or I eat controlled during the day. But what happens is you tend to overeat at night. And you're just eating more calories than you need at night after a long period of time of not having enough calories. So the body saves the surpluses it has in the evening to cover the next day's underfed period. And then as you go through the underfed period, the body saves even more. So it's not a cyclical replacement. If I use up 3 units of energy during the day that I'm underfed, my body doesn't put 3 units back in, it puts 4 or 5 as protection. You go through the next day, you use up 3, and it says, I only have 1 or 2 left. I might as well put another 1 or 2 just in case. And then the next day, another 1 or 2 just in case. Another 1 or 2 just in case. And it adds up. So our low energy is in part due to mistiming our food. If we eat more when we're more active, our body won't register itself as an energy deficit as much. You will not accumulate as much cortisol. You will not accumulate as much under-addressed body fatigue, like body damage. So your body's going to help repair little small aches and pains, like your muscles aren't going to be so tight. You'll be able to move a little bit more free. So the idea is to create more caloric consistency. And that's going to help you a lot. To learn about that, we have our free information on our website, www.brunenergym.com. Go to Free Nutrition Education. The first thing on that page is Create Your Own Nutrition Program. You can click to view or print that information, and it'll tell you how many calories you need and how to set that all up. So that's all free on our website. But that's going to be the first thing, is getting your nutrition more consistent so you have enough recovery and energy through your nutrition that you can start to feel like you have better energy, and maybe eventually enough energy that you'll have the energy to work out, right? The other thing we want to look at to address fatigue is sleep. I know you would want to sleep more if you could. You can't. So we have to look at sleep quality. That's the target. That's the goal. We want to just sleep better. If I can't sleep more, how do I sleep better? Podcast 1149 is a mindset podcast titled Creating a Healthier Sleep Pattern. It talks about trying to be consistent with the time you go to bed, how to address like blue light, which can actually make you stay awake from electronics that we have, the temperature in the room, the fact that you should have a light covering over yourself, what to do with food timing, hydration timing. There's a lot of information in that podcast that will help improve sleep quality. So if you can't sleep more, how can you just get more restfulness from the sleep that you're getting? So those are going to be the 2 things you want to do at first, is address the fatigue. You have to create margin. You have to create space for the workout to be done, energy-wise. The second tip is to work out first. Work out before the world wakes up. Okay? Another way of saying that is to take care of yourself before the world wakes up and gets in the way. When the world wakes up, they're just going to have a bunch of demands on you and ask you to do a whole lot of shit that you don't want to do. That's just life. Sounds so defeated. But once everybody else is awake, they get in your way. Again, very defeated and maybe too aggressive of language. But it's better to do what you need to do while everyone else is sleeping. So take care of what you need for you first. And then give what's left to everyone else. If you go to work, especially with a 12-hour shift, even if you try to eat great, you can have mental fatigue due to the demand of the job. And unfortunately, if you have mental fatigue, that also will prevent you from wanting to work out. So I've worked with people who drive truck for a living, and you're sitting on your butt. You're not really doing much physically. You can argue with me if you want to, but you're not sitting, you're not doing much, But the mental toll that it takes to drive and not kill everyone around you is extremely high. It's extremely mentally demanding to drive big, heavy trucks. That if you're a split second late on touching the brakes, if you don't pay attention to every single detail, it can kill someone and or cost you your job and your license, your CDL. So it's very important to recognize that even if you don't have a physically demanding job, even if you just sit at a desk and you sit at a computer all day, you're still not going to want to work out afterwards because you're mentally tired. If we have any fatigue, whether it's mental fatigue or physical fatigue, our body registers that as fatigue. And it will not want to add more to that, right? So the best routine is to get up and take care of yourself before your work starts. Now you say, like, I have a 12-hour shift with a 1-hour commute each way. Okay, so that's 14 hours a day. You're going to be sleeping, say, 6 to 8. So that puts us at 20 to 22. So there is 2 to 4 hours in there that you're going to need to take care of life stuff. You're going to need to be connected with family. But 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there, 2 to 3 times a week, you can still fit in some physical fitness. If you want to have family time with a spouse, go for a walk. Or kids, go for a walk. You can do some physical stuff together, and that can be part of the exercise. So I do understand that there are time constraints. 100% understand that. I've been there myself. But we also have the goal of wanting to be physically fit. The nutritional components that you're going to do to address fatigue are going to help with fat loss. So you're already going to help in regards to like physical health. But out of that extra 2 to 4 hours that you have in a day, try to fit in 20 to 30 minutes of exercise 2-3 times a week. If it's walking with your family, great. If you can, swing by the gym for 20 minutes on your way to work, great. Just find small pockets. And that's our third tip, is to start small. One of the goals that I have with clients who have like chronically demanding jobs is 20 minutes of anything. I said, let's do 20 minutes 3 times a week. I don't care what the 20 minutes is. Go for a walk. Do sit-ups. Do jumping jacks. Stand on your head for 5 minutes. Again, whatever it is, just add up 20 minutes. So my wife actually does this. She has a very demanding job. And at our house, we have a Bowflex elliptical. It's an elliptical that instead of having a horizontal pathway, it has a vertical pathway. So it's really freaking good on the glutes. So she likes it because it builds up her lower glutes and it just kills your lungs. And then we have a cable stack that I bought from Sorinex and then mounted sideways against our wall, so it only sticks out 4 inches from the wall. So awesome space saving. Pretty ingenious, if I do say so myself, but it works out really well. So she gets on. She either does the Bowflex for 20 minutes while she watches, she likes scary things on YouTube. One of the channels she listens to is Mr. Ballin. It's MR. And then Ballin is Ballen, and it's like scary stories. So she'll listen to a Mr. Ballin story while she's doing her elliptical, and that'll either take 20 minutes, or she'll do 10 minutes of elliptical, then 10 minutes of the cable stack. We have a couple light dumbbells as well, some power block dumbbells. But she'll just move, add up to 20 minutes. Doesn't matter what it is, who cares, just 20 minutes. 20 minutes of being active. Anything. That gets the routine. One of the other benefits is 20 minutes you can say is like, okay, I'm tired, but I could probably do 20 minutes. Whereas if you're like, I'm tired and I have to do 60 minutes in a gym with leg presses and barbells and all that shit, I'm too tired for that. So 20 minutes of anything, it seems more doable than a full crazy pants, workout. Then, once you get consistent with that, in addition with that, is you want to get a routine. You want to have a concrete plan of what you're going to do in the gym. If you get to the gym and you don't have a plan, you're going to hee-haw around, you're going to feel unmotivated, and you're going to leave. Or you're going to do piddly crap that you're already good at, that you kind of sort of like bicep curls for 20 minutes, and you're going to leave. It's not the best use of your time. So get a routine. We have our routines. I have my subscription service for live monthly programming. We have our one-on-one coaching where I would write the routines for you. But there's a lot of crap, not crap. There's a lot of good stuff that you can download off the internet for free. There's a lot of videos on YouTube You can type, 20-minute workout. If you're doing it at home with no equipment, just type no equipment workout 20 minutes on YouTube. And there's going to be a million videos that pop up. So you want to get a routine, something concrete, something that you're like, okay, I'm showing up with a purpose. I know I'm going to do X, Y, Z. That's going to help so much with motivation and for better quality of time spent doing whatever it is that you do. The fourth tip is to set goals. First of all, what's your why? Why do you want to work out? If you're like, well, I just want to feel better. Okay, that's surface level. Let's dig a little deeper. What about feeling better will matter to you? Do you want to feel better so you can feel more confident? Do you want to start working out and being healthy because you want to set a better example for your kids or your spouse? Maybe your spouse is overweight and you're like, you know what, I'd love them to get healthier. Why don't I lead the way? Or it's just what? Like, why? Why are you doing it? Why do you want to do it? It's helpful to kind of dig into that a little bit. To really think, what's my motivation? Why do I want to do that? Why would I want to put in extra work into my life, extra stress into my life? What's the reward I get for it? Like I've talked about my journey a little bit, is when I was 15 years old, I was like skinny fat, didn't like the way I looked, and I attributed mental weakness to allowing myself to look that way. And I was like, I don't like the version of me that the world sees. I don't feel like, in my mind, I'm represented well by the way I look. And I wanted to correct that. And I worked really freaking hard for it. And I still got some work to do, but I made a long way. So when I was 18 years old, I was skinny fat 165. And just the other day, I weighed myself, I'm 282. And I have lower body fat percentage at 282 than I did at 165. Crazy. A lot of work, 20 plus years, but pretty awesome. It makes me feel more confident. It makes me feel like I can crush life. Nothing in life is as hard as what I've made my workouts. I've done some horrible workouts, and I have tested myself. And it's fun to know what I'm made of, what I'm capable of. And that when life gets tough, I can be tough right back. So I have gotten immense mental and emotional reward as much as I've gotten a physical reward. So that's my why. Like, just trying to be my best self. I want to represent my best self. I want to represent who I am. I want to continue to improve upon that. So I have a lot of whys. And I feel fired up to do my whys every single day. And that's what I would encourage you to do, is take some time and think through what's your why. Like, what's your reason for doing it? And then you also want to set SMART goals. Now, not only is it a good idea to just set goals that are smart, there's actually an acronym to the SMART concept of the goals. We have podcast number 124, so way the hell back when. So I probably need to update that one and do that again. But podcast 124 is a podcast titled, it's a mindset podcast titled Setting SMART Goals. Now, SMART is an acronym for how to set up goals. The SMART, the SMART, stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, which means there's actually a time aspect to it. So you're not just trying to lose weight forever. You're trying to lose weight in the next X weeks or X months. Or you're trying to get strong in the next weeks or months, that kind of thing. But learning more about that, if you just want to Google search it, you can also listen to the podcast. And again, you can find all of our old podcasts on our website. We give a description of how to do that. But you want to set goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, meaning they're actually you can actually do that thing. They're relevant and they're time-bound. If you set goals with those elements in mind, it's just going to make the entire process so much better for you. It'll be very motivational, and it'll really be uplifting to have your goals set up that well. Then the fifth tip is to make it more than just about you. Now, you want to do things for you. You're a good enough reason to do things. But it does help to have accountability. And it does help to do what's called adherence tracking. Meaning, you're saying, yeah, I want to work out 3 times a week. Well, track it. Are you actually working out 3 times a week? Or the things keep coming up and you're only working out once or twice, or maybe you skip a whole week and you're like, yeah, but I try to work out 3 times a week. You say that as if it's comforting, but it shouldn't be, because you're not. You're not actually doing it. So you want to be well aware of what you're actually doing versus what you think you're doing, and those things better be as close to freaking similar as possible. Like, it's overwhelming and shocking how far those two can be for people. What they think versus what they do. That's scary. Good God. But we all have that capacity to lie to ourselves. We all want to feel good, and we don't want to beat ourselves up for things we mess up. So we tend to make excuses. We tend to kind of fudge the truth. We tend to get lost a little bit in reality, and we're not truly honest with ourselves, and that can start to lose touch with reality, and then we start not getting the results we expected, but we don't know why. We don't think, oh, we're like, well, I'm following my diet and I work out regularly. Bullshit. You're maybe getting 3-4 days a week where you hit all the aspects of your diet, and you're missing 1 or 2 workouts a week, and when you're there, you're half bullshitting with friends more than actually doing anything. So when you look at the reality of things, you're going to find out you're full of shit. And it's really good to know that, because the more you can reduce that, the better it's going to be for you. And then also accountability. If you can help yourself, work with yourself, if you know what your weaknesses are, find things that fill those for you. Work on them, try to get better in those areas. But if you're like, yeah, I'm just tired all the time and I don't feel like going to the gym, get a trainer that's going to be standing there waiting for you. I know I'm a trainer, so it sounds like bullcrap and it sounds like I'm trying to, sell services. But get a gym partner. Get a buddy. Get somebody who's going to meet you at the gym. The reason why sometimes trainers work is once you commit money, you're screwed, because now you really got to do it. So what's interesting is I've trained clients long enough. I have a very long retention rate for clients. Very lucky, very blessed, and I appreciate every one of them. But to the point where clients do start not to care if they let me down anymore. I tell them from day one, it's not about me. Don't focus on me. Try to not let yourself down. They don't need to do anything to impress me. It has nothing to do with me. But people still have this perception that, if I don't eat well, I don't want to let Rob down. And I'm like, if you follow your diet, I'm super proud of you. If you're not following your diet, let's just look at why and let's figure it out. I'm not going to be disappointed. I'm just going to say, oh, that stinks. I'm disappointed for you, but I'm not disappointed because of you. I don't know how to word that, but I just want people to be their best selves, and if they're missing any areas, I want to help fill those gaps. But it does get to a point where somebody's like, yeah, I'm not following my diet, and I'm totally comfortable and okay walking in here and telling you I'm not following my diet. It's like, oh, it's not good. We want to try to figure this out, but having accountability does help, especially in the initial part, to get you through the hurdle. So having an accountability partner like a gym buddy can help, but eventually you might not care about letting them down. But if you're paying money, now you're going to care a little more and a little longer. It takes a long time for people just not to care about money compared to letting down a friend. Hell, that's just funny, but that's the truth of things. So those are the 5 tips that I have for how to address lack of motivation when you work long hours. First tip was to address the fatigue. Get consistency for your calories and work on sleep quality. Second tip was to work out first. Work out before the world wakes up and gets in your way. Third tip is start small. Remember, 20 minutes of anything, doesn't matter what the hell it is, just start. 20 minutes, super small, just small amount. And then get a routine so that way you know exactly what you should be doing. Fourth tip was to set goals. Remind yourself of your reason why you want to work out, and then set SMART goals, S-M-A-R-T goals. And again, you can look at podcast 124 or just look that up on the internet and it'll tell you what to do. And then the 5th tip is to make it more than just about you. Do adherence tracking so you're not full of shit. You want to know if you are. And then accountability. Work on accountability. Get a gym partner, get a trainer, get something. Online trainers are great as well. Just anything that can build accountability for you. Like some people make social media profiles. And they're like, I'm going to make a fitness profile, and I'm going to share everything I do fitness-wise, and hopefully that'll motivate other people. Freaking kick-ass. Love it. Awesome. Whatever helps you be more consistent and helps you say yes more often than no. That's great. Cool. Okay, hopefully this was helpful. If you have any extra questions or any follow-up, just email me at brutalirongym@gmail.com. I appreciate you listening to the podcast. Sincerely, thank you very much. I appreciate your support. And I want to make sure that you get what you need from the podcast. So you can ask anything at any time. Again, the email is brutalirongym@gmail.com. If you like our podcast, please share it. The more people we share it with, the more people can help. And that's the whole point of the podcast, is just help people live their best life. Thank you to those who donate to support the podcast. There is a high hosting cost for all the different platforms we want to have the podcast available on, so I appreciate the donations that go towards those costs. You can donate on our website, www.brutalirongym.com. Even just $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever you can give, it adds up, it is helpful, it is meaningful. Thank you very much for those who do that. Also, if you like the information we share in our podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels. On Instagram and YouTube, you can find us and follow us. Please follow us under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.